Hi guys, here's my third installment of college algebra tutoring. Now, today we're dealing with things like graphs. I won't tell you exactly how to graph, but I'll give you all the necessary components of how to graph. For example, lines and circles. Starting off with lines, the general formula, ax plus by equals c. This is the general form of a line. A being a coefficient, usually later on we'll see as m, which is the slope of the line. B, which is some coefficient of y. Later on it'll be used to divide up some of the y-intercept form equations. And then c, which is your y-intercept. Now, let's say we've got a couple points from which we need to find the distance between. The distance formula is the square root of your second x coordinate minus your first x coordinate squared plus your second y coordinate minus your first y coordinate squared. In an example, let's say we need to find the distance between, let's see, the origin 0, 0 and another point on the graph at the square root of 3, 1. I know it's kind of an odd number to use, but you'll see it works out later on. So how does that work out with the distance problem? Well, here's your x1 and y1. Here's your x2 and your y2. Put together, we've got square root of 3 minus 0 squared plus 1 minus 0 squared, which simply translates to the square root of 3 plus 1. The square root of 3 plus 1 is the square root of 4, which is 2. So the distance between the origin and a place at the square root of 3, 1 is 2. 2 units. Let's try another problem here. Let's say we had negative 3, 2, and the origin. Well, let's set this up. D is equal to the square root of negative 3 minus 0 squared plus 2, 0 minus negative 3 squared plus the square root plus 0 minus 2 squared. D is equal to 0 minus negative 3, which is equal to plus 3 squared, plus negative 2 squared, which is 4. d is the square root of 13. Since we can't simplify that radical number, it is done. The distance between the origin and -3, 2 is the square root of 13. Now let's talk about the midpoint. The midpoint is the part on a line in between 2 points, as its name suggests. That's your midpoint. How do you find the midpoint? Well, it's as simple as taking your first x-coordinate, adding it to your second x-coordinate, dividing it by 2, and that's your new x-coordinate. Then you've got your first y and your second y-coordinate added together, divided by 2. Basically, another way to say this is it's the average of the 2 x-coordinates and the 2 y-coordinates average. Applying this to a problem, we've got the origin and the square root of 5. So we take our first x and our second x, divide by 2, that's our next x-coordinate, the average of these two added together. Then the next one is the same. So this becomes 5 square root of 2, 5 square root of 2. The midpoint between these two numbers is 5 square root of 2 and 5 square root of 2. This is a coordinate. Let's try a little bit more of a friendly problem. Let's say 2, 4, and 6, 8. 2 and 6 over 2, and 4 plus 8 over 2. 8 over 2, which is 4. 12 over 2, which is 6. The coordinates is 4, 6, which is the midpoint between a line connecting 2, 4 and 6, 8.